Has this ever happened to you? You go to the garden center, buy a big, beautiful tomato plant, come home, dig a hole, plant it, fertilize it, water it faithfully, and then in about 2 weeks, it just sort of gives up? It's not you. It's our Florida sand. Hi, I'm Rhonda, Florida Garden Gal, and today we're going to talk about Florida soil, what it is, why it behaves the way it does, and how you can fix it without spending a small fortune. Because Florida soil isn't broken, it's just different. When I first started gardening here, I planted tomatoes straight into the ground and a few other vegetables. I mean, hey, I grew up in Kentucky. That's what I saw them doing. So that's what we do, right? We just plow up some earth and throw in some plants or seeds and things grow. So I watered them, I fertilized them. I was very diligent. I really took care of them every morning, paying attention. And after about 3 weeks, the tomato plant was just kind of looking at me, saying, this just isn't working. The leaves were yellowing, it wasn't getting bigger, just wasn't going well. So what was I doing wrong? I really wasn't doing anything wrong. I just hadn't done the first step, which was get my soil right. Most of Florida's natural soil is sand, like the piles you see behind me. Not rich, thick loam like you see in magazines. Not like the soil in the Midwest, just sand. Sand has very large particles. Water runs through it, nutrients run through it, everything moves fast. So let's do a little demonstration of sand in a colander versus amended garden soil in a colander. Let's see how the water runs through. So in this, I have Florida sand. This regular sand with some big root chunks in it. So let's pour some water in this and see how it goes. You see that water just running straight through it. Okay, a little heavy. So now, just dump that out. I'll give this a quick rinse so we have no more sand. And then this one, I have rich, thick garden soil. You can see the difference. There's the garden soil versus the gray sand. And this sand behind me was dug out on our property. This is what our soil would be if we did nothing to it. Okay, so I'm going to put in this amended soil straight out of my raised bed. And look at that, no water yet. Finally, just a little bit of water here and there. So you can see how the sand just drains straight through. It doesn't hold anything for your plants to eat and feed on. So let's talk about how you can fix that. So new gardeners to Florida think, oh, let me just run to the garden center. I'll buy some bags of garden soil, put it in the ground, and start planting. That's also a mistake. Definitely, I'll give someone an A for effort on trying rather than just throwing it straight into the ground like I did. But let's talk about what's better. So you can't buy 3 or 4 bags of garden soil, sprinkle it in lightly, and expect miracles. It really just doesn't work that way. What does work is building up your soil over time with a combination of ingredients. Improving soil isn't dramatic, it's just steady. Think of it like making deposits into a savings account. You don't make just one deposit and retire the next day. So what actually improves soil? Compost, aged manure, leaves, and mulch. So let's take a look at some beds I did this morning and how I have amended that soil. So about a week ago, I added some black cow and mushroom compost to this bed. I'm coming back to it because I got sick and had to stay in for a bit. So today I'm going to add oak leaves and then add some tree mulch. You can see I have a little bit of asparagus growing in there. A friend of mine told me he used to have asparagus growing wild on the sides of the road in Michigan. How lovely that sounds, but that's not our sandy soil in Florida, so we have to fix it. So here's my wheelbarrow full of oak leaves that I raked up from my yard, and now here's the bed with the oak leaves laid on top of it. Here's the composted tree mulch. Look how rich that looks, already breaking down. In the Back to Eden method, they layer newspaper or cardboard and tree mulch and just build gardens right on top of the soil. So you could look into that if that's something that interests you. This tree mulch was a big pile. We've had it for quite a while. There were tree cutters down the road, and I just stopped and asked them if they would bring the mulch to my house when they were finished. And sure enough, they did. And here's this bed now with the tree mulch in it. And it's all ready to be planted, and hopefully it's also going to help our little asparagus plants. So Florida soil improves gradually over time. It's not a one and done. Every season you need to be enriching your soil. So let's talk about raised beds versus planting in the ground. Raised beds give you much more instant planting. You can bring in soil, mix it all together, and start planting straight away. Plus, when it comes time to pull weeds, you're not on your knees pulling weeds. But it is a little more expensive because you do have to invest in the raised beds, whether you build them or buy them. In-ground gardening is slower at first, but if you build up the soil over time, you won't have to worry about the raised beds rotting or falling apart. And you can build a pretty big garden, maybe more so than with raised beds. There's really no right or wrong choice here. It's all up to you, what you feel like you want to do. So one more thing, let's talk about fertilizers, because if you do not amend your soil, those fertilizers are just going to drain right through that sand, just like the water did, taking all the nutrients away. What kind of fertilizer would be best? I would go more with a slow release, particularly if I'm in ground, because the fast release is just going to wash away quicker. Fertilizer is never going to replace good soil. You do need both. So let's talk about what not to waste your money on. You do not need miracle soil bags. They're expensive, and some gardeners think they do more harm than good. And don't waste your money on just tiny amounts of organic compost. Tiny amounts are not going to help you out that much. And you definitely don't need any products promising instant results. Not going to happen in Florida. Florida soil is sandy. That's not going to change, but you can help it. Add organic matter, mulch generously, be patient, and repeat. And over time, you'll have soil that works with you instead of against you. Now, everything we talked about was about building soil over time. But what if you don't want to wait 6 months? What if you want to plant now? I know that's how most of us feel. That's how I felt when I got that tomato plant and just stuck it in the ground. So let's talk about some things you can do straight away so you can get to planting. Loosen the top 6 to 8 inches of the soil. Add 3 to 4 inches of organic material. Compost, composted manure, mushroom compost. Mix that into the soil. Then add 2 inches of mulch on top. This creates moisture retention, nutrient holding, and an improved structure. And then you can plant straight away. So if you're gardening in Florida, tell me in the comments what you've done to improve your soil. Tell me if you're gardening in the ground or if you're gardening in raised beds. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing. It certainly helps the channel. And every week I'll come to you with real gardening tips in real soil in rural Florida. Until then, happy gardening.